Welcome back, everyone. Ready for another deep dive? Today, we're going to unlock the secrets of talking to your kids, like really talking to them.
You mean effective communication?
You got it. And we've got an awesome guide from UNICEF to help us out. Seriously, this thing's packed with insights.
It is. One of the things that really struck me is how it emphasizes that communication goes way beyond just, the words we say.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's like our kids are little mind readers or something. Like they can pick up on our every mood.
Exactly. They're so tuned into our nonverbal cues. Every hug, every glance, every change in our tone of voice, it all sends a message.
So true. And I think sometimes we underestimate how much those nonverbal messages can impact our kids.
Right. Think about it from their perspective. Their world is still so new and everything feels so big and intense.
Yeah, definitely.
So a hug during a tantrum can sometimes be way more powerful than any words we could say.
It's like that saying, actions speak louder than words.
Absolutely. And that brings us to another key point from the guide, active listening.
Oh, active listening. I used to think that was just about, like, sitting there and nodding while my kid rambled on about their day.
Oh, it's so much more than that. It's about truly engaging with your child, being present in that moment with them.
Yeah, putting down your phone and really giving them your full attention.
Right. Get down on their level, make eye contact, and let them know you're really listening, not just waiting for your turn to talk.
I've even noticed that little things like using encouraging nods and smiles
Yeah.
can make a difference. It shows them you're not just hearing their words, but also paying attention to how they feel.
Exactly. And sometimes the best way to actively listen is to actually not say anything at all. Just let them express themselves fully without interrupting or offering solutions.
Yeah, I've learned that the hard way.
Yeah.
I used to jump in with advice all the time. Like if my son was upset about losing a game, I'd immediately say, well, you can't win them all.
And how did that go over?
Not well. It just made him feel like I wasn't really listening. Now I try to just acknowledge his feelings first. Like, it sounds like you're really disappointed about losing that game.
That's perfect. By simply acknowledging their feelings, you're validating their experience and helping them feel heard.
Which is so important. And speaking of validation, the guide talks about this really cool technique called reflective listening.
Oh, reflective listening is awesome. It's basically about mirroring back what your child is saying, but using different words to show you understand the meaning behind their words.
So instead of just parroting them, you're digging a little deeper.
Right. Let's say your child comes home from school and says, I hate reading. Instead of saying, well, you need to practice more, try saying, it sounds like you're finding reading really frustrating right now. What's making it so tough?
Ooh, I like that. It opens up a conversation instead of shutting it down.
Exactly. And it encourages them to explore their feelings more deeply, which is so important for developing their emotional intelligence. When it comes to communication, there's one area where I think a lot of parents struggle, and that's rewards and consequences.
Oh, tell me about it. It's so tempting to just offer a quick bribe to get my kids to cooperate.
Right. Like if you finish your vegetables, you can have dessert.
Yeah.
But the guide really cautions against relying on those kinds of bribes.
Yeah. Why is that? It seems to work in the moment.
Well, the problem is that it can create this unhealthy dynamic where kids only do things if they're getting something in return.
So instead of learning to do things because it's the right thing to do or because they feel good about it, they're always looking for that external reward.
Exactly. And in the long run, that can actually undermine their intrinsic motivation.
So what's the alternative? How do we motivate our kids without resorting to bribes?
The guide suggests focusing on setting clear expectations and offering genuine praise when those expectations are met.
Okay, so instead of saying, if you clean your room, you can watch TV, I might say, when you clean your room, it makes our whole house feel more peaceful.
Perfect. You're emphasizing the positive impact of their actions rather than dangling a reward in front of them.
I like that. It feels more like we're working together as a team.
Right. And it's not just about praise. It's also about using calm and consistent consequences when needed.
So if my daughter refuses to put on her shoes when it's time to leave, we might miss out on going to the park.
Exactly. You're setting a clear boundary without resorting to punishment or making her feel bad.
It's all about teaching them that their choices have consequences.
Right. And this all ties back to the importance of helping kids understand and manage their own emotions.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, how can they make good choices if they don't even understand what they're feeling?
Exactly. The guide emphasizes the power of helping children label their feelings.
So instead of just saying, you're being naughty, we might say, you seem really angry right now.
Perfect. By putting words to their emotions, you're validating their experience and helping them develop their emotional vocabulary.
And over time, they'll start to recognize those feelings in themselves and learn to regulate their behavior.
Absolutely. And it can even help them calm down in the moment. When kids feel understood, they're less likely to escalate.
That makes so much sense. Another thing the guide talks about is using noticing statements instead of just generic praise.
Oh, noticing statements are so powerful. Instead of just saying, good job, try being more specific. Like, I noticed you worked really hard on that puzzle. You must be so proud of yourself.
So it's about acknowledging their effort and the process rather than just focusing on the outcome.
Right. It shows them that you're paying attention to the little things and that you value their hard work.
I love that. It's like you're really seeing them.
And speaking of seeing them, don't forget to have fun. The guide reminds us to be playful with our kids.
Oh, I needed to hear that. Sometimes I get so caught up in the day-to-day stuff that I forget to just relax and enjoy their company.
I know what you mean. But those moments of silliness and laughter are so important for building connection and creating positive memories.
It's like a reminder that parenting doesn't always have to be so serious. We can let loose and be goofy, too.
And the guide also makes a great point about focusing on the behavior, not the child.
What does that mean exactly?
It means that instead of labeling our children as bad or lazy, we can address the specific behavior that's bothering us.
So instead of saying, you're so messy, we might say, I see that your clothes are all over the floor. Can you please put them in the hamper?
Exactly. It's a subtle shift in language, but it can make a big difference in how our kids perceive themselves.
They might be messy in that moment, but that doesn't mean they're a messy person at their core.
Right. And it's not just about what we say, it's also about how we say it. Our tone of voice can convey so much.
It's about leading by example, right?
Mm.
If we want our kids to communicate respectfully, we need to model that behavior ourselves.
Absolutely. Our kids are like little sponges. They're absorbing everything we do and say, so if we're constantly yelling or interrupting, they're going to learn that that's how you communicate.
Makes sense. So it's not just about the words we use, it's about the whole package.
Exactly. It's about being mindful of our own communication habits and striving to be the best communicators we can be.
It's amazing how much we can learn from a single guide like this.
I know, right? It's packed with so many practical tips and insights.
It's like we've been given this incredible toolbox for building stronger connections with our kids.
And the best part is these tools can be used in any situation, whether you're dealing with a toddler who's having a meltdown or a teenager who's slamming doors.
Exactly. It's all about adapting these strategies to fit the unique needs of our children and our families.
One thing that really stood out to me in this guide was the emphasis on creating a safe and loving environment for communication.
Yes. It's not about control or power struggles. It's about creating a space where kids feel comfortable opening up and sharing their thoughts and feelings.
Absolutely. When children feel heard and understood, they're less likely to resort to those attention-grabbing behaviors that can drive us parents crazy.
It's like we're filling up their emotional cups.
Exactly. A full cup means a happier, more cooperative child.
And a more peaceful home for everyone.
So true. Well, this has been such a fascinating deep dive into the world of communication with our children. I feel like I've learned so much.
Me too.
Yeah.
It's amazing how these seemingly small changes in the way we communicate can have such a profound impact on our relationships.
It really is. So let's do a quick recap of some of those key takeaways just to make sure they stick.
Okay, number 1, active listening. Really tune in to what your child is saying both verbally and non-verbally.
Number 2, reflect back what you're hearing using different words to show that you understand.
Number 3, speak clearly and kindly using age-appropriate language and a respectful tone of voice.
Number 4, ditch the bribes and focus on setting clear expectations, offering genuine praise, and using calm consequences when needed.
Number 5, help your child label their emotions and encourage them to express themselves in a healthy way.
And last but not least, those noticing statements. Remember to use them generously to show your child that you're paying attention to their efforts and accomplishments.
Oh, and one more thing. Lead by example. Our kids are always watching and learning from us, so let's model the kind of communication we want to see in them.
So well said. This has been such a rich and insightful conversation. Thank you so much for joining us today.
And thank you to UNICEF for this amazing guide. It's truly a game changer for parents who want to build stronger connections with their children.
Absolutely. We hope you've enjoyed this deep dive and that you'll take these tools and use them to create more loving and meaningful relationships in your own families.
We know parenting can be tough, but remember, you're not alone. We're all in this together. And with a little bit of effort and a lot of love, we can create a world where our children feel heard, understood, and empowered to communicate their needs and feelings effectively. Thanks for joining us.